Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Women to Watch. My name is Sue Rocco, and I'm so excited to be here on 6abc.com. And a reminder, also broadcasting on 1210 Talk Radio, WPHT. If you're a fan of radio, you can listen to the show on Sunday nights at 7. I want to take a minute before I bring my guest on to give a big thank you to our corporate partners who sponsor the show and really support what we're doing here and allowing me to tell the stories of women leaders from all around the world. So a big thank you to Comcast, NBC Universal, Penn Community Bank, Curio Digital Therapeutics. And coming up later in the show, you'll hear from our lifestyle contributor, Sherry Morrison. She's going to be sharing with us who's coming up on her segments and what she is working on. Don't forget as well that you can find out all kinds of information about the show by going to the website at womentowatch.net. That's women, the number 2, watch.net, N-E-T. So now I'm very honored and excited to welcome to the show Karith Foster. Karith is a speaker. She is a humorist, an author, diversity, equity, inclusion, and as she says, belonging expert. Karith, welcome to the show.
Sue, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you, and I appreciate the last minute availability because I know how busy you are flying around the world, doing all the great things you're doing.
Well, listen, we make it work, right? That's why the world goes round.
It is. And, you know, I wanted to tell the story of how we met. I always think it's so interesting how you can meet someone years and years ago, and then all of a sudden they come back into your life. And we sat next to each other at an event in New York. And it was a very long time ago. I think it was maybe 2014, 2015.
2015.
Yeah. And I just remember I sat next to you and we started talking, and I remember thinking, this woman is full of wisdom. And I had a feeling that we were going to be working together one day. So I just wanted to share that.
And it came to
backstory. Yeah. So I want you to talk to the viewers and the listeners a little bit about the community you grew up in Texas and kind of give them a picture of what that was like.
Sure. So I was actually born in Denver, where our street was but our street was like Sesame Street. Like there was one of everything, you know, very, very diverse. The people next door were Hispanic. The people on the other side were Black. There was a mixed race couple, catty corner, an Asian couple down in the cul-de-sac. You know, across the street were white neighbors. It was just very mixed, and it felt very inclusive. And then we moved to Texas, and it was the complete opposite. It was the antithesis of diversity in that respect, ethnic diversity, and even financial diversity, because we were in a very affluent area. And I will often joke, and when I do my comedy, that, you know, Plano has the ethnic diversity of Sweden. Because I was actually there were 1,200 people in my graduating class from high school. 12 of us were Black. We were part of the 1% before there was a 1%. Right?
Right.
But it wasn't like they didn't ignore the fact that they knew they were not diverse. Like they tried. Like even in theater, my senior year, I will never forget. I starred in an all-white production of the play A Raisin in the Sun. And while I joke about it, and of course a lot of comedy does come from, you know, what's uncomfortable, what can sometimes be painful, it did leave me feeling kind of caught between two worlds, you know, because I wasn't white enough for the white people. And there was another group of Black and African-American students who kind of were on the other side of town, the not so affluent side. And for them, I wasn't Black enough. And so it's like, well, where do I belong? Where do I fit?
Right.
And it kind of, you know, began this identity crisis of who am I? And the fact that, you know, we were so defined by our ethnicity. right? And still to this day, like that's such a conversation. And now it's even, gone further. It's like to the nth degree. Well, what's your political affiliation? What's your gender identity? What is your sexual preference? All of these things. What denomination are you? If you're Christian or not? Like, and it did was it kind of prepared me, though, I think, in a challenging but now I'm grateful for the work that I do now.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to being that age, certainly high school, man, that's hard. Grade school, all you want to do is fit in. So you're already physically not looking like the rest of the kids. And you did share with me that you really think it has served you well. And I wanted you to be a little more specific about that. In what way? And also when did you realize, that might have been tough for me as a kid, but now looking back, it was a great experience that other young people may not have had.
Right. Well, just to echo what you said, adolescence is hard for everyone. Like there's nobody who says, I want to go back and be 16 again. Like even if you were captain of the cheerleading squad.
Or a girl. Yeah. No.
Right? I think guys too. I do think some guys too even have, because you're so awkward and you're still trying to figure out who you are and where you fit in, and you're so self-conscious, and this was pre-social media, so I can imagine how I would have survived that. But what it taught me, and I didn't realize the lesson until later, was that nobody had the right to define me but me. But it was a struggle, and I also was, I had some illnesses. I was severely asthmatic and allergic, which led me to be on prednisone, the steroid, and not the kind that makes you an awesome baseball player, the kind that really
right?
The kind that wrecks your emotions and causes you to hold on to a lot of water weight. And so that in tandem with this identity crisis led to some severe depression, for which I was actually hospitalized. And that was in and of itself an experience, because I went into a facility where I was with other young adults, other teenagers, who some had been sexually abused. Some were alcoholics, some were chemically dependent. Some had been involved in like really horrible, like satanic ritual stuff. And here I was, just having this identity crisis, and it made me reflect back on like, oh my God, I thought my life was so awful. And not that my issues weren't real to me and significant, but I got to see, how much other people were suffering too. And everybody was in the same boat with regard to just wanting to be loved and feel valued and feel heard and have a voice, and be confident and comfortable in who they were. And when I again thought about what drove me to that place, it was other people's thoughts of me, other people's opinions of me. And I, again, let that dictate how I was feeling about myself. But when you're that young, you don't really have agency yet. And so, but that was the beginning, I guess, of this path that I came to be on. And then, of course, comedy really fulfilled it, because comedy, I like to say, we're the island of misfit toys. Everybody who does stand-up comedy is, first of all, not normal. Not that there is such a thing of normal, but it's extraordinarily not normal, because no completely sane person gets them in front of strangers and tries to make them laugh. Like,
I know, but thank God you do. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate humor in my life, particularly today. It is medicine. It is absolute medicine for people.
It is. It's healing. It's cathartic. And that's why I think a lot of people who have had that gift to other people who are going through something, who've been through something, it's very universal, right? And I think, sometimes people mistake comedians for people who stand in front of brick walls just talking about their private parts. That's a faction. But the other aspect is people talking about the truth and real life and real circumstances. And, when you give people the ability to laugh at something that has been hard, you give them permission to heal. And my theory has always been, if you can laugh at it, you can get through it.
Yeah. Do you think, Karith, that people have lost their sense of humor?
It's definitely teetering on that. I think we can save it. I think we can reel it back in. I think that there is a level of people wanting to be very conscientious, and there's also a mixture of self-righteousness that's in there, where people are so on edge of not being politically correct, of not saying the wrong thing, of offending someone else, but not listening to the message anymore. It's like this just reactionary kind of mode that people are in, instead of listening to what mostly comics do, is they mock the absurd. And the absurd is racism. The absurd is sexism. The absurd is homophobia. All of the things that we, see as I would say threat to society, but certainly a hindrance that doesn't connect us. There are people who are kind of overreactive and not letting the comics words and thoughts be processed enough. By immediately jumping to I'm offended, or I'm offended for someone else, when the reality is, this is supposed to be a truly about connecting us.
And I think, one of the things I think that it's the seriousness of the things you just mentioned, kind of keep people stuck in the anger, sad, outraged area, and they feel as if they don't respond that way, they're somehow not being a good person, when in reality, to do the opposite is self-preservation, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about coming up, wanting to be a comedian, but then also being educated.
Oh, no. I never wanted to be a comedian. Like, comedy chose me. I was never the class clown. I was never the class clown. I was the, straight A student, honors class. I was vice president of the Latin club. Like, you could not be dorkier than I was the dork in Cool Kids Clothing, right? You also missed a ton of school because of your illness,
I
did.
You learned at the top, in honors classes. That's really impressive to me.
Thank you. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I inherited, some really good genes and some intelligence and a work ethic. I didn't want to fail. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to make my family proud. Like, education was always stressed in my household. So was family. And I'm very grateful. I feel very blessed that was part of, my upbringing, because there are a lot of people who don't come from a background like that. And I do come from a place of privilege because of that.
And you cared well. Yeah.
And I think that's definitely set me up for success. But with regard to starting comedy, I mean, I always was attracted to it. I used to sneak and stay up late to see who was going to be on the Tonight Show, because I just love people's take on things. I was always kind of quirky and had a unique perspective, but I love like taking the mundane and making it like outrageous, or taking something really complex and breaking it down, or taking something really simple and extrapolating on it to take it to a whole other level. Like, I just thought that was so brilliant. It was so genius. And I enjoyed it. It was like a puzzle, like a mind puzzle. Right. And so when I moved to New York City, so I got my degree in broadcast journalism from Stevens College, which is the second oldest women's college in the country. I moved to New York to work for The View, because, who better than Barbara Walters to have his
right. Legend that she is.
And I got there, but it kind of became my Devil Wears Prada. Do you remember that film?
Absolutely.
And there was a famous line that Anne Hathaway's character said, "A million girls would kill for this job. Why am I miserable?" And that was me. And it wasn't that I hated my job. It was just, I wanted to do something more creative. I wanted to be on the other side of the camera. I wanted to have a voice. And I met someone by chance, if you believe in chance. There really are no accidents, right? Who was an intern at the soap opera All My Children. We shared studio space. And she kind of like caught me in the shared ladies' restroom. And she's like, "Hey, can you watch me do something?" And I always tell people, if anybody stops you in a New York City bathroom and asks you to watch them do something, you run.
Well, I was going to say, I'm surprised you stayed to hear the next line.
She didn't seem like a threat. So I'm like, okay, what does she need me to see? And she proceeded to do 6 to 7 minutes of stand-up comedy.
Oh my God.
I remember thinking, how did you learn to do this? She's like, "Oh, I took a class." I said, "You can take a class for this?" I said, "You think I could?" And she said, actually, I signed up for one and I don't think I can take it anymore. Maybe you can take my spot. And so I was making no money. Like I was low man on the totem pole at the View. It was a startup show. There wasn't a budget. Like, I was not the one raking it in. And so I went into my savings, and for $300, I treated myself for my birthday to a stand-up comedy class. And in New York City at Gotham Comedy Club. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that was risky. Not necessarily risky, but I mean, something fun, I guess you wanted to do at that point.
Yeah.
But you kept the job. You were still working at the View.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So then you got onto a radio show. This is a big part of your story. If people don't know, that you were on the Imus radio show and brought in when there was controversy over his remarks. I guess my question for you, I think that was gutsy of you to do that and not immediately react to what he had said and close him off. What was it exactly that made you so curious to take it and think, I can really make a difference by doing this, as opposed to, I'll say shaming him?
Right. Well, I remember when the story broke. And again, one of the gifts I have is the ability to see multiple sides and angles of things. And I saw it from the perspective of a comedian, a performer, and I saw it from the perspective of a Black woman. And while those were opposing views, I understood both. And I thought, you know what? I am the perfect person to have this conversation with him, because the call was to, have a national dialogue about race and racism in America. No small feat for one person on a national platform. But I remember thinking, if I don't do this, somebody else will, and they won't be as responsible. Right.
It. And it wasn't at the beginning of anything, but what year was that, Karith?
That was 2007.
2007. Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you say was your takeaway from that? The greatest lesson learned?
Well, because he was a very damaged soul. He just was. What I learned was, again, nobody's responsible for how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't go in to save anyone. They have to save themselves. But that it is possible to have a dream job. It is possible to make a difference. It is possible to make an impact. And, sometimes these situations are rites of passage, right? What began as a dream job did end up as something that was pretty abusive. And I share about this in the TED Talk that I gave. I don't go into great detail, but I came out of it certainly stronger and more empowered, and understanding that, my voice was important.
Yeah, it's such a great lesson for our kids. We're going to go into our first break. Stay with us, and we will be back with Karith Foster.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you. 1, 2, 3. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Welcome back to the show. I'm so excited and honored to have with me today Karith Foster. She is a comedian, a speaker, an author, also an expert. And we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion, but your take on it, which I think is really brilliant. Just before the break, you were talking about how we really cannot and should not let others define who we are. And I think it's one of the toughest things to learn in life. It's certainly hard for kids, and we see grownups today who still haven't figured it out. And you mentioned your TED Talk. I watched it. I loved it. I had two takeaways from that I wanted to bring up. This really kind of hit my heart when you talked about others saying, "What do we do with her?" in reference to you and where they wanted you to fit in, which is just so silly because it's your originality that's so amazing. And your advice about it's almost never you. So these worries that we have. So talk about what do we do with her, what I'm referencing, and how that affected you and how you got over that.
Sure. So again, this kind of goes back to the identity crisis that started as a child, feeling caught between two worlds, not being white, not being Black enough for certain people, even including some family members. And then going into the entertainment industry where everything is about, putting someone, casting them as a type, right?
Right.
And I wasn't the kind of sassy Black girl who rolled her neck and was the stereotype of what Black women were, which was another reason I wanted to do the Imus in the morning, take that position, because, there was no Oprah at the time. Her Daily Show had ended. She hadn't started her network yet. There was no Shonda Rhimes or Viola Davis. Not that those few women, make up for the deficit of representation, but, at the time, everybody just wanted kind of the next Samore, the next Monique, the next kind of outrageous Black woman with the attitude. And that wasn't me. I grew up in the suburbs. I would go out for auditions and they'd say, because they couldn't say, can you sound Blacker? Because that's not politically. They'd say, can you jazz it up a little? And I'm like, you want me to scat? Like, what do you want from me? Like, no, we're going for an urban sound. Can you do that? I'm like, I grew up in Plano, Texas. I can do suburban for you. Will that work?
Well, it was almost like your voice and the way you present yourself was too soft for them or something. And it
wasn't what they saw of a Black woman to sound like, which is so shameful because,
Correct.
We come in an array, like just the whole world is an array of people and identities and situations and to be just stripped down to one dynamic, and that was part of why I love the work that I do. Not why, part of why, but it is a great deal of what my passion is about is letting people understand that we're not monoliths, right? We are so multidimensional. We are so multifaceted. And to just ascribe to one facet of our identity, just one thing that defines us, that's such a disservice to the people that we place those ideas on, that narrative on, but to ourselves. And for the people who don't get it, the people who can't see past that, that's why when I say you, it's not you, it's them. they're the ones who have the blinders on. They're the ones who are stuck. They're the ones who are dealing with their own problems and issues because they can't see beyond, the confines that they've made for themselves.
Do you think something that I kind of obsess about myself is because I've always innately believed there were more good people in the world than bad. And I'm often labeled naive for that. And now today, because of internet, we see all the horrific things that happen every day, all day long. And so I'm starting to question it. And I certainly raised my kids to believe it. So when we talk about the people that have such limiting beliefs and tolerance for difference, do you think most of us are wanting to embrace the differences, but we're just not out there? Or do you think that there's really too much of the opposite of that?
Well, I've been called naive too, so we're in the same club.
Okay.
But you know what? I base it on my personal experience because that's really all I can. Because what we see on television isn't always real. What we see on the internet, we know is also just a snippet, even if it's a fabulous picture of someone's vacation or home or dinner or, romantic partner. And so we have to base our reality on our actual reality. And the reality that I have is one where people hold the door open for me, regardless of their color or ethnicity or gender. The one I have is, I was on an airplane. I just got off a plane to come and do this interview. And an older white gentleman helped me put my bag up over my seat, So this idea, I believe that we have more in common than we don't, first of all. I believe that there are more good people than bad. It's just, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So you're not hearing those stories.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear you say that. I'm so glad to hear you say that. And I remember one of my most favorite things that my mom ever said to me. I called her and there was horrific things going on. And I was kind of venting about it because I was losing my sense of the world is really good. And she said, I don't know any of those people. And I thought, that's such a great perspective. And it's exactly what you're saying. Base your opinions on what your life is. And my life is full of joyful, wonderful, amazing people that are doing good things of all walks of life. So that's a good reminder.
Yeah. But there's also an element of personal responsibility there too, which is, what do you want your world to reflect? Do you want to have a bad day? Do you want to have somebody be mean to you? Do you want to be the victim of circumstance or of, an ism that's out there? Or do you want to be authentically yourself and see love and see kindness and be part of the goodness that really does exist? And the light is more powerful than the darkness.
Yeah, I agree. I want to quickly talk about your book. It's a great title. You can be perfect or you can be happy. We all know which is the right thing to be. And I dove right in. I didn't get to finish it because I thought, I have so much time. Karith isn't coming on the show till the end of the summer. But something I loved that I read was about the word surrender. And I think that is something, it's a really powerful word. And I think if people can understand what that means, it will help them enormously. So tell me what it means to you.
Well, I think usually when people hear the word surrender, they hear of giving up, right? They hear of raising the white flag, I give in, you take it, I'm not, putting up a fight anymore. But the surrender that I'm talking about is letting go of the need to be perfect, letting go of the ideal and narrative that society has put upon you, or that you may have even put upon yourself, releasing it voluntarily. That is the surrender of which I speak, so that you're actually freeing yourself to be who you are and to be content in that and happy in that. And again, not having to measure up to any outrageous or unreasonable standard that's impossible to achieve. That doesn't mean you don't strive for excellence. Of course you do. Doesn't mean you just, throw in the towel, you never put yourself together, you stay in bed no, of course you apply yourself. but surrender to the idea of this perfectionism that is a lie.
Right. I also think it applies to people. There's so many people struggling today, whether it's addiction, it's running rampant, just struggling emotionally, mentally. And those, I think, who surrender to say, I need help.
Yes.
I can't fight this anymore. That's always the beginning of a better life, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Surrender to the rebuilding of yourself. Surrender to receiving help. Surrender to not thinking you have to do it all on your own all the time. Like, one of my favorite chapters is I say ask for what? Well, ask for help. We think for some reason in the society that if we ask for help, it's a sign of weakness, that we're not strong enough. And nothing could be further from the truth. Like, if people didn't ask for help, there would be no employees anywhere. There would be no venture capitalists. There would be no doctors or lawyers or accountants or teachers, because we need help doing all of those things. We don't think about it in that framework. We don't all grow our own food and grind our own, grains to make bread. We go to the store. We, go to the farmer's market because we need help. We need help. We all do. Right. So there should be no shame in anyone's game for asking for help for whatever it is you need.
Right. Okay, let's talk about your methodology around INVERSITY, because I think it's so great. And there, we're being bombarded with diversity and inclusion initiatives. Everyone's saying we got to be diverse. We all know that, right? The world's more interesting with diversity, but you want to change it a little bit. Talk about what INVERSITY is.
I do. I want to put a twist on it. I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel, but I think we need to reframe how we have these conversations, because what we've been doing for the past multiple decades hasn't been working. And the fact that people are like, we need more diversity programming, we need more, but they're still doing it the same way. Like, to me, that's yelling louder at a deaf person. Like, that's not changing anything.
And the money, spending that money, right? And these programs that aren't working, right?
The concept that I have developed is called INVERSITY. And it's still acknowledging, honoring, accepting all of the parts of us that make us uniquely us, right? It's our, considering our heritage, our background, our, who we are, what made us who we are. But instead of focusing on what separates and divides us, let's shift the focus to what do we have in common? How can we be truly inclusive of one another? But most importantly and powerfully, how can we be introspective? Meaning understanding your value and worth so that you can then see it in someone else. And for years, we've been trying to make diversity work from penetrating from the outside in. Well, the reality is, you can't treat somebody else well if you don't treat yourself well. It's like that, this really great book out there, it's worldwide bestseller, it says, love your neighbor as yourself. But how many people are loving themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't value yourself, how in the world are you going to value somebody who's, here from another country, somebody who votes differently from you, somebody who's, has a different lifestyle? Like, there's so many elements of it. First, understanding that we really are connected. Like, there's not another race. It's the human race. Like, this is it. And when I lecture at Stanford, I had the very distinct honor of being a luminary for the Knight Hennessy Scholars Program, which is Stanford's equivalent of the Oxford Rhodes Scholars. And there's a gentleman there who was a biologist who was lecturing about CRISPR, right? And DNA. And that's its own controversial topic, but I was still curious. I wanted to know, what that was about, but I also approached him afterwards. I said, look, I'm in the DEI realm. And just out of curiosity, how different are we genetically? Like, what percentage? Can you give me a number? And he looks me dead in the eye. He goes, Karith, as human beings, we are 99.99986% the same. Okay, we are fighting, arguing, terrorizing each other over 4/10,000ths of a percentage point. And even that percentage point is really more about chromosomal differences.
Wow.
And actual, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that fact should be out there every day. Every day, that should be a repetitive reminder to people, because I think just knowing that, remembering that makes you kind of take a step back and think, why are we fighting over these differences? Well, I always say that I think as humans, every human on the planet, male, female, no matter the background, want two things: peace of mind and freedom.
Yeah.
Right. And no matter the political side. So when you see there's so much anger around the politics, do you think it's possible for us to come together and be able to actually get things done and move forward?
Without question, it's possible. But we have to take the initiative. We have to truly be forward thinking and understanding that, wait a second, like, how much power am I losing? How much energy is it taking to be angry, to be upset, versus to love and to be accepting? And over what? And, I think you and I spoke about this. I was in New York City for 9/11. That Tuesday was horrific for everyone in the city and for America and the world. It was really a reckoning moment. And then that Wednesday, I kind of stayed inside my apartment because I did live in Manhattan, which is definitely an island. You can't leave unless you're going over a bridge or under a tunnel. But that Thursday, I found myself with some of my friends at the JAKIB Center on 11th Avenue and 34th Street. But it wasn't just us. It was thousands upon thousands of other New Yorkers in line for blocks to help with tools, with water, with food, there to donate blood. And in that moment, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, because there was no age, there was no religion, there was no gender, there was no politics, there was no ethnicity. It was people there to help people. So I know we can do this. Right. I also believe that it doesn't have to take a national tragedy or a natural disaster. It just takes having a consciousness and an awareness, and constantly, reminding ourselves, look, we are in this together. And so that's what I've dedicated my life to. This is the work that I take to corporations and to organizations. I teach them how to have conscious communication, noble compassion, empathy, learn how to actively listen and responsibly respond. And so, I feel so honored to be able to do this and do it with humor, so that it's not this, overwhelming, heavy topic. We can still have fun, and have a poignant message and lesson, and move forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. We just have a couple minutes left. You have daughters, and I wonder, I want to ask you two things. What have you learned from them? And what kind of conversations do you have to them about surviving this society, and really, finding their own voice and really using it, not being swayed by social media?
Well, I've been reminded by them. I was just reading a journal, and I said, my 4-year-old woke up this morning and told me I was magical. That's what she's. You're magical, Mommy. And I remember, I thought, when I was 4, I thought I was magical, and then somewhere along the way, I forgot. Yeah. But I'm being reminded again. And the thing is, we all are magical. We all have this amazing innate ability to connect to source, to go within, to create the worlds that we want. Mm-hmm. And so that's what my children have taught me. And they've also taught me to have an incredible sense of humor. Like, not that I was lacking, but it's like doubled since having 2 little hysterical young ladies in my life.
Everything they do is funny at that age, right?
They're a riot, and they make up their own jokes, but they're just the stuff they say. Like, I think the difference between motherhood and fatherhood, perfect example, my daughter, younger one, asked me, Mommy, if God is our parents, if God is our father, who's God's parents? So I have to go into this existential, I'm like, I need to go to theology school to
That's a big question.
It's a big question. I'm like, I need Kierkegaard. Can I channel Kierkegaard for this? And she turns to my husband and she's like, Daddy, how do you say dog in Australian?
Wow.
And he gets the softball question? Are you kidding me?
And you know what's awful? They're asking these fabulous questions, and then they're going to hit an age where they're going to kind of stop. But we're going to help them not to do that.
Oh yeah,
right?
Stay curious. Everybody needs to stay curious and inquisitive. And
yes, yeah. But listen, we're all out of time, and I didn't get to ask you half the questions, so we're going to have you back. Thanks so much, Karith. I really appreciate it. Keep up the good work and the sense of humor. I love it.
My absolute pleasure, Sue. Thank you for having me.
Stay with us as we go into a break. When I come back, I'm going to be joined by Sherry Marson, our Lifestyle Watch contributor. We'll be right back.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. I'm Sue Rocco, and I am so happy to have with me today and now our on-air Lifestyle Watch contributor, Sherry Marson. Sherry is, I will say, in the Philadelphia area here, a small business advisor and really an expert around the lifestyle field. And she's going to be with us every week, profiling and spotlighting women that are doing really cool things in the Philadelphia area. So welcome back to the show.
Hi, Sue. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's getting dark as we speak. All of a sudden, the clouds rolled in.
Thunder and lightning behind me. You will see some little flashes. Hopefully, we won't lose power. That would be
right.
terrible.
No technical issues. So tell the viewers who's coming up and what you're working on for the next segment.
Well, you know, your mission on this show is to have women on the show who inspire other women. And before I get into my new list, I do want to say congratulations to you. How many years have you been doing this now?
10 years.
10 years. Okay. And
yeah.
You interviewed hundreds and hundreds of women. And I know that your one big goal was to have a national program to inspire and encourage women to be world leaders or pursue leadership and encourage women to be leaders.
Yes, it was. So, yeah. You know, and really when I was little, I wanted a talk show. So now, you know, two things are coming to fruition. Yes. But really to help women find their own voice. And Karith and I were talking about that earlier in the show.
Well, it's exciting. Congratulations. The 6 ABC is very exciting for you, I know, and me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You've not only inspired a lot of women, but you've inspired me. You know, I had my own business for 23 years and sold it. And I've been floundering around for the last 9 years. And you and I had a conversation months ago. And you have this one thing that you've said repetitively to me: be yourself in everything you do. So
I love hearing that. Yeah.
And so that's what I've decided to get back to. I, like you, like meeting people, and you've given me this opportunity with the lifestyle segment to go out and meet some really cool and fun people. So I'm starting my business again, and it's based on that. It is going to be called, or is called, The Fringe, and that's fringe spelled with a PH because we are on the fringe of Philadelphia. So
I love it. I love it. It's very clever. It's going to stick, and it's giving an opportunity for the people in the suburbs to get some exposure. And
so I'll have a social media page set up with that name, and the people that I interview will be featured on it. New businesses starting up all in the suburb area or on the fringe of Philly. And yeah, I'm excited about it. You know, not that we don't want to talk about the Center City people, but there's quite a bit of media there. They get great coverage already. So, you know, the suburbs, not so much. So there's a lot going on out here. There's some outstanding individuals who have started businesses and created some exciting things. So I'm excited to cover that.
Can you tell us, name a couple names? Who's in the line?
Yep. So next week I'll be up at Galen Glen Vineyards. That is Sarah and Erin Troxel. They're a mother and daughter winemaking team. They also oversee the vineyard. Erin, the daughter, well, the mother is a chemist turned winemaker, and the daughter grew up at the vineyard and winery that Sarah and her husband Galen started. It was his family's farm, and they decided to turn it into a vineyard. She went to Cornell. Their daughter went to Cornell, Erin, and she's 34 now, and she's a great winemaker. Sarah was named the winemaker of the year, women winemaker, for nationally, not just Pennsylvania, and they are Pennsylvania's best winery. So that's exciting. Awesome. They are going to be featured in a wine and food pairing at Twice River in Philadelphia, which is a top restaurant there, on June 7th. So if you're so inclined to check out their wines, they'll be tasting through 7 wines with a really nice dinner.
You might need some company with you.
So I've been diligent in my research. Look behind me. Wait, here we go.
Yeah, I see. What a pretty bottle.
It's going to be a busy week.
Okay. Working your way through each one.
Yep. I want to make sure I'm well versed in each of them.
Yeah. Love the mother-daughter pairing. I love that.
Yeah. How unique is that? I don't know how many there are in the world, but I don't think it's very a very big thing to be happening. You know, women just aren't on farms that much. So it's a totally different field. I'm going to be speaking with a woman by the name of Sharon, who started the Mercer Bucks Pickleball Club. You know, pickleball has just like exploded in the last year.
It has, yes.
There aren't a lot of things going on, like availability of tournaments and that type of thing. So we're going to be visiting with them and learning about more places to be able to play pickleball. What's so great about it is it's for all ages. It's for, you know, anybody who wants to play. It's kind of a combination of paddle tennis and tennis.
Okay.
So a little bit easier, not quite as fast. So as we mature, it might be a little bit easier for us to play if we are not able to play tennis anymore. I'm also going to be speaking with Ellen Yin. Anybody who's familiar in Philadelphia with the food scene, Ellen's been nominated for numerous James Beard Awards, and she is just launching a new project called the Wonton Project. So that goes back to her Asian background and giving back to the Asian people in her own way. So she'll tell us more about her Wonton Project.
Has that been made public at the announcement of that? Okay, great.
Yeah. And you know, she has numerous other restaurants, Fork and High Street Hospitality, and she's involved with and does the food for A Kitchen and A Bar. In conjunction with AKA Hotels. So, yeah. So
great.
Ellen is just like, she's this woman that keeps inventing herself and she's successful. She's a word grad, so she's good with business. I'm also going to be speaking with and interviewing the woman who wrote this book, Ellen Warner. You see that? Ellen Warner.
Second half. I love that. Yep.
She is a photojournalist, and she has been working on this book since 2006, taking pictures of women all over the world, all different cultures, all different financial backgrounds and success, failures, you name it. So there are pictures in the book with a story from each of the picture of life after 50. Advice that each of them give to people who are not 50 yet, of maybe some things that they would want to tweak.
Which, by the way, isn't 40 the new 50?
Yes.
Or 50 the new 40?
New 40. I think 50 is the new 30.
Whatever it is, we're living it. But yeah.
Yep. And then I also have a woman who just returned from Poland. She was working there, helping out the people of Ukraine with food. She was in the thick of it. Her name is Olga, and she started a Baba Brews kombucha.
Wow.
So she's out in Phoenixville.
Okay.
And she started this company from scratch. I'm going to say maybe 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she has products all over. She's just done an amazing job. And her products are in Whole Foods, in Kimberton Whole Foods, a lot of national grocery chains. And she's just knocking them out of the park. So the little spoiler alert is she's going to be announcing, sorry, Olga, she's going to be announcing that she's developed 4 new kombucha vinegars. So, and she does health and wellness programs there at the factory, and she calls it the Culture Kitchen. So
I love it. And she's in a great area. Phoenixville is booming. What a great place to be.
Yeah. It really
Well,
is.
I'm excited for all of these. I can't wait. And it's going to be fun to hear and see a new face and hear a new story every week with you. So thank you. I'll let you get back to your research.
Thank you.
Stories.
I'll get out the glass.
Yes, get out the glass. Thanks, Sherry.
Cheers,
That's
and congratulations again.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is it, everyone, for another week of Women to Watch. Stay tuned next week for my interview with Robin Graham. Robin is an author, and she has her own podcast. She's also a business advisor. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Welcome back. That's it for another week of Women to Watch. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, another thank you to our sponsors and corporate partners for helping me to bring you the show every week and who support our mission. Comcast, NBC Universal, Penn Community Bank, Curio Digital Therapeutics, and Sherry Morrison, our Lifestyle Watch contributor, who I just spoke to. Next week, stay tuned for my interview with Robin Graham. Robin is a business advisor and an author, and she has her own podcast, and she helps entrepreneurs, particularly women, take their businesses to the next level. So thank you for being with me, and have a great week, everyone.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
Did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.